Hello, ladies and germs, and welcome back to episode 84 of the Change My Mind podcast, part of the hashtag Dorkshared Gooniverse, along with Geeks Worldwide Radio and Midnight.fm. We are, of course, the People's Podcast. We are the prettiest podcast of the hashtag Dorkshared Gooniverse. I think that was confirmed this weekend. And, of course, this week's episode is brought to you by a classic New England staple, B&M brown bread. Break bread with your enemies the way the Pilgrims intended it. Preserved for ages by a sealed can. Text BREAD, that's B-R-E-A-D, to 37277 to receive your exclusive promo code to get your hands on some tasty B&M brown bread. I am, of course, Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Beacon Hill to my back bay, Mr. Nick Fryer. Nick, what is good in the hood?
I'll tell you what's good with that friggin' intro. My God, Wes, that may have been your best one yet. You've gotten better and better at this. We've almost been doing this for 2 years now. We're getting pretty close to that, right?
Yeah.
We're getting pretty close to 100 episodes. I think we're 16 away if we don't count any of the bonus episodes or TLDR or anything like that. So, yeah. But man, these last few, since the DSG started, you have, oh my God, it's next level shit.
I feel like I just ran a kickback at against the Denver Broncos, and I need the oxygen mask right now. I'm just low on oxygen. That was a lot of air I just expelled there, but I'm feeling good. I'm gonna fight through it. All this conditioning that I've been doing has got to pay off at some point. And with that said, let's just roll right into the intro question. How about it? Where was your secret hiding spot growing up, and what did you hide there?
Okay, so I was pretty basic. I hid stuff under my bed. But, I had a lot of stuff under my bed. I used to keep my baseball cards down there. And I think
just a bed. Okay.
Yeah, we kept toys down there. But see, here's the thing. I was always I got confused. As I got older, I think I moved to the right side of the room. I shared a room with my brother my entire life. Once he was born. And then growing up, though, I was on the left side. So I would always hide it on the side near my head because my head was against the far wall and up towards the far corner. So that way there was nobody was going to see it, and I would block it off with my card boxes so no one could see anything. And I may have hid some pictures there early on. That was pretty much it. I never really had much to hide outside of
You strike me as someone who would steal your mom's Victoria's Secret catalog or something like that. Something very innocent.
No, I don't think I ever did that. I never stole it. I don't know.
Well, no, but maybe it just found its way up into your room.
Maybe it did once or twice, but I definitely had more risque pictures than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a Maxim magazine.
Maybe I went to websites and then printed stuff out and then cut out the pictures.
Oh, look at that! Wow, now that is creative. I really enjoyed that. So where I put my secret hiding spot, I had a chair in my room in high school. It was this really ugly brown chair, and in the cushion, the zipper on the cushion of the chair. Underneath there, I had all my magazines under there. Some, maybe some extracurricular paraphernalia, if you will. Some rolling papers.
I will not.
That.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I felt like I had to clear that up because then that could get weirdly down a darker path where this is really more innocent stuff.
Especially if you're the hashtag Dorkshared Universe chat that we have going on.
Well, sure. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's not safe for work at all.
Nope.
But that was a perfect hiding spot. I got all through high school until we were moving. My mom recently moved out of the house a couple of years ago. And we were getting rid of that chair, and she opened it. I forgot they were in there. It was just in there for years, and there were porno mags from 1998 in there or something.
My God.
And we had a good laugh, as a single mother of two boys. She has to have a sense of humor about that sort of thing. And she did.
Yeah, oh man. Well, your mom's a good sport. I got to give her that.
God bless her. Yes, she is.
My mom's handled some stuff over the years because she had two sons as well, and I still would have felt uncomfortable with that happening.
Yeah, a lot of stiff socks around the house, around the Fryer and Sykes household.
Yeah. I never, honest to God, I never heard of that ever. So,
oh, really? Oh, that's an American Pie thing, though. That's a pie. That's a major thing.
I didn't hear about it till, honest to God, I don't think college.
Wow. Well, you got to pick a time, good time to learn, right?
Exactly.
This week, we're going to be discussing microprocessors. No. We're going to be discussing the best and worst Boston accents in a movie with a very special, dare I say, surprise guest. Although I think we already tweeted it out, but
not a surprise guess if you follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, so maybe follow us on Twitter at Change My Mind Pod, and then maybe it won't be a surprise to you anymore if you're into that sort of thing. But first, we got some trending now. Let's find out right now what's trending.
So WandaVision, the trailer came out, and it looks trippy as hell. And the first thing that I'm thinking of when I see this, and I saw it all over Twitter too, is actually trending at one point. Is this going to be House of M-esque? Because in House of M, we see Wanda, and this is, the book's been out for a while, so it's not spoiling anything for you guys. But in House of M, we see her get rid of a lot of the mutants as she tries to bring back her children and everything, and she creates this whole mess. And actually, there were allusions to that when we did our review of Avengers versus X-Men, because that had happened previously. But in this case, people are saying, well, now she could kind of do the inverse, where maybe this is how she brings in mutants, if that's possible. And I would love to see it. It's a quick and easy way to do it, and it's not too far off from what we saw in House. It's just the inverse. So why not do it?
Yeah, I think this is great. I love the WandaVision trailer just in general. I think we need, it's good that we've had this layoff from the Infinity Saga, but I'm ready for something. I'm itching. I'm jonesing for it. So this WandaVision trailer looks good. It's probably, I wasn't very excited about this when this title first came out, along with all the other Disney Plus titles, but this seems like it's going to play a big role. I think Doctor Strange is going to be involved. We have Catherine Hahn, who you made a note of in here. She's supposed to be playing Agatha Harkness, who is a neighbor and a witch, and she kind of helps WandaVision or Wanda Maximoff, I should say, Scarlet Witch, kind of develop her powers a little bit. And I believe that helps her get pregnant, I think, if I'm just reading forward. So maybe that's what kind of sparks things there. Supposedly a 2020 release date. I know it said coming soon on the trailer, but some whispers on the interwebs, you put on the Scoopy internet sleuth hat for a moment. Some whispers are saying that 2020. So that'll be really interesting. And then this to kind of tie it right in is that Black Widow may get pushed back again, which I don't think is really the news part, but a lot of people are also saying that Falcon and the Winter Soldier can't be released until Black Widow does.
I can see how that would happen, because Winter Soldier, we've seen in the comics, he and Black Widow have a history. So that very easily we could see him in the course of this, where, it's like, all right, we get all annoyed where they can't really keep anything secret. I would assume this has got to be why, that there's a Winter Soldier specific tie-in to all of this.
Well, many people are saying that they're setting up a certain character who's trying to build a new team. A certain side character who's been prominently pushed back into the fold of things, a Mr. William Hurt. And maybe he's trying to get the Defenders. What's the team called there? Why am I blanking on it?
The Defenders? We've seen the Defenders. I mean, West Coast Avengers? I don't know. I don't know.
Red Hulk. It's like the anti-heroes there.
I know which one you're talking about. Elektra's on that team at one point with
but that's what I think they're leading up to, is to build that and to introduce Red Hulk, the Thunderbolts. Thank you very much.
Good God, that's embarrassing.
So hopefully we get some Marvel stuff moving in the future here.
I would like that. Yeah, and now real quick, just to circle back to WandaVision, because I love Catherine Hahn. I think she's friggin' hysterical in pretty much every single role that she takes. She's always outrageous. And seeing her kind of nutso in the trailer, I'm all here. I'm here for it. And Agatha Harkness, for those who she must have been in the comics, but either way, she's also an X-Men Evolution for those who want to see her character a little bit. If you want to see, learn a little bit more about it, she's there. We also got a comment from Billy D in the chat. Feels like we are now officially the prettiest podcast was a direct shot at me, of course, Billy D from Pop Culture Pile Driver. Wes.
Yes, of course. Is that true? I mean, no, of course it's not. I thought we had a great time in that foursome there. I think it's just having everyone line up in a usual suspect type of line. We all size each other up. I felt good about the acclamation that I made, prior to that statement.
I tend to agree. Also, what happened on Sunday, aside from a certain golf outing that we'll get to during the quarantine corner, was the 2020 Emmys. Wes, did you give a shit about these?
No, I didn't. I saw some clips. Some of them were kind of cringy. Good for Watchmen, Euphoria, Schitt's Creek, Succession. I think those were all the big winners there, right? So that's great. And obviously, Watchmen has some a little bit more relevance to us there. But I watched Euphoria too. So Zendaya winning her award was great. So I thought she did a great job in that show.
Happy to see Watchmen win it. That's pretty much the thing I care about most in all this because
Yeah.
it was an awesome show and totally deserve it. There's also been rumors popping up again of Tom Hardy possibly taking on 007 role when Daniel Craig's on. Obviously, we've seen the trailer for his final movie as the British agent or secret agent, excuse me. Do you care about this at all?
No, I mean, it's cool. It's kind of seems status quo. You know, we talk about like if John Krasinski got named as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, like that's cool. Like that seems like a perfect fit, but this is like almost feels like this was bound to happen. I feel like fan casts have kind of spoiled things in such a way to take this side of the fence here that it almost like ruins it when it actually gets announced.
I'm okay with it. I don't love it.
He's gonna be great. Who doesn't love Tom Hardy?
But I don't know. I like Tom Hardy. He's a good actor. He's I don't know. I think he'll be fine. I think this is a hard. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he could screw it up. I don't know. I mean, gun to my head, I say he's going to be fine. I don't love it necessarily either. But I mean, I'm not a diehard James Bond guy either necessarily. But
I think this follows in the Daniel Craig kind of buff and hunky and rough, you know, kind of James Bond, not the debonair Pierce Brosnan type. You know, this guy looks like he can get his hands dirty. I think they're kind of following in that mold.
It's definitely more of a shift in that direction. If Craig is one step, then Hardy's like 3 steps in that direction. And just to kind of circle back to our Multiverse Madness episode where there was some confusion on Mac and Goose part, which I don't know how it's confusing. Just listen to the episode, guys. You know what the hell's going on.
That's what you gotta do. Don't watch the Goldbergs. You know,
simple enough. Billy D, he listened to it. He knew what was going on.
Yeah, he's got it.
So this would mean that Tuck Hansen from This Means War, it's Tom Hardy's character in this, turns into 007. Just throwing that out there. That was a terrible movie, by the way.
Why are you choosing this? Why don't you choose Inception or something like that? You know, like
because he's a spy in both movies, Wes. It's easy.
Yeah, he's a spy in Inception too.
Is he? I told you I've never seen Inception.
Well, you need to be incepted in seeing that. Real quick here, as we finish up the trending now, did you see Dane Cook? He organized this live table read of Fast Times at the Ridgemont High. Sean Penn, Shia LaBeouf, Morgan Freeman, Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, like all these like major players came back to kind of not came back, but all joined up to do this live table read, which was cool. But I think the real story is Shia LaBeouf stealing the show. Did you watch any of this?
That's all everybody seemed to care about, and that's all I really cared about in the course of it all too. And I saw, it looks like he's losing it.
Oh, he doesn't look. I mean,
or like he's lost.
Have you seen the movie? No. I feel like I have to ask this. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I know. That's Matthew McConaughey, right? All right.
Nick.
No.
Is this a shtick that you're doing right now? Because it's over my head if that's the case.
No,
that's Dazed and Confused.
Oh, that's right. That's Dazed and Confused.
Fast Times in the Ridgemont High is Spicoli, who was played by Sean Penn, who was also a very famous stoner-like character. So it was a master class in method acting.
That was one I have no desire to see that one. I haven't seen the other one with Matthew McConaughey either. So,
and just to be clear, you're drinking a World's Best Boss mug, right? I just want that to be pointed out there.
Yeah, you like it?
Oh, you are the ultimate troll, Nick. Nick Fryer, you've just turned full heel on us here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Heel on us here. No, you know exactly what you're doing. No. This show's gone completely off the road. Go to your damn comic book minute. Lay off the people.
All right, we'll keep it real quick for you guys. DC Death Metal, Speed Metal. It's a one-off. It's written by Joshua Williamson, who's writing Flash. That comes out this week. He also concludes his run with Flash this week, too. Obviously, both important issues and all this. Suicide Squad 9, very important issue. It's been teased out there what happened, but I don't want to say what the spoiler is, but it's in the previews. But it's something happens to an important character who we've seen actually in film, and we're not going to see him again in film. But anyways, Suicide Squad 9, I would say, is a must pick up as well. Marvel has Juggernaut 1 coming out, and it shows what's going on with him while the mutants are all in Krakoa right now. There's Immortal She-Hulk 1, which obviously we got the news about the She-Hulk casting last week. Power Rangers Draken New Dawn issue 2 is out. That's from Boom Studios. And then one of Doc's rules on TLDR, always pick up first issues of anything Boom. So An Unkindness of Ravens issue 1. No idea what it's about, but Doc better be picking it up because that's his rule. Last couple things. Image Comics, Undiscovered Country, Scott Snyder. That's one of his books. Issue 8 is out this week. I love it. Reviewed it. It's going to be up on Geeks Worldwide if it's not already there by the time you guys are listening to this. And obviously, we had Scott on. Obviously, maybe those don't know. We had Scott Snyder on last week. Doc and I interviewed him, and I thought it went really well. And he talked to us about Undiscovered Country, death metal, American Vampire, Noctera, his Kickstarter campaign, which was a huge success. So that's been going. So that went really well. And then last but not least, Wes, Vault Comics. I don't talk about them much, but Doc is very excited for this book. The Autumnal issue 1 is out this week, so he'll be talking about that a little bit on TLDR this week. Whew.
That was nice. That was great. Do you need a little bit of the oxygen mask right now? I feel like we do a good job of kind of trading off when one is wordy and the other is not.
That was definitely one of the faster comic book minutes. Well, I mean, we got TLDR now, so you don't need to bog this show down with all the comic stuff. We'll get to it more in that show.
Yeah, and if I may, I just got to point out, I know we don't really want to pat ourselves on the back too much on here, too much ego stroking, but the Scott Snyder that's something to be, something to be proud of.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can get more people on like Scott in the future. Well, we'll see what happens, but we do have ourselves another guest today, Wes, which you were responsible for booking this one, so I'm very excited to welcome in Connor to the show.
Come on, guys.
Absolutely. This is Mr. Connor Ryan here to do our main topic to help us out with. So this is our top 5 best and worst Boston accents. So slice up your canned bread, serve up your cup of clam chowder, make sure your car's parked in the Harvard yard, and don't forget the jimmies on your fraps. So tonight we're talking Beantown accents, right? I feel like that's like the most non-Boston take on Bostonians right there. I try to incorporate as many bad cliches in that intro as possible. But Nick, what makes a good Boston accent? Can you finish me off there?
Well, Wes, I think we should throw this to our guest, honestly, because the whole reason that we came up with this idea was the list that we saw Connor come up with on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways. It's very easy, I think, to screw up a Boston accent. So I think it's all about not pouring it on too heavy, because I think if you go with like Matt Damon in The Departed, like I don't know anyone who sounds like that too extreme, where it's like, where it's all like that nasally, like super high pitch with it just like stressing, like that one I think was just way too over the top for a guy who's also from around here. That's a bad hit, but it's gonna be like you have to, you play the hits, right? You got to drop the R's and stuff like that, but you got to have like the cadence to it. You got to have like, the different inflections you kind of give with it, and also have like the short, like kind of things like, I saw like a video once where someone broke down what makes like a really good one. It's how you say something like confirmation as opposed to like confirmation, like where you shorten it a little bit. It's like small things like that I don't think people catch up on that make it go on, which is really tough to do. I think I read something, I think on the Hollywood Reporter once, where it was like celebrities going through like the accents they dread when they found out like in the casting call where people are from, and it's like Boston, like South African, and Australian. Like those ones are like, Jesus, like we have to really put in the work to make sure we don't get called out very quickly.
Well, it's interesting because we've seen, and we'll go over this a little bit further down the road here, but some movies just don't even try. And I think that's actually somewhat memorable. If you don't have someone who can do the accent, right? Isn't that like a Mark Wahlberg line? Like if you can't do it, just don't even bother.
Right. Well, I mean, that's even like Jack Nicholson in The Departed, where I think, I could guarantee you that like at the start of that, like Martin Scorsese, he was like, yeah, we'll try to, do what you can to try to get the accent. And he's like, I'll just I'll read the line, like, screw it. Like, I feel like at that point, he's just like, yeah, it's Jack. We'll just let him do what he wants to do, which at that point, like, I'd rather Jack Nicholson just play Jack Nicholson than like do a really horrible Boston accent anyway. Like he drops it in a couple of times.
Yeah, he goes in and out, and even his refusal to wear Celtics gear. That's just Jack being Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I think this is great. I think you're the perfect person to bring on this because once again, I think you have a PhD in mimetic. Mimetic fun here is pretty much how I would describe it. Of course, you're from the Boston Sports Journal covering the Boston Bruins. Boston guy through and through, right? Are you a Southie guy originally?
Yeah, no, born and raised in Southie. It's funny when people say I'm from Southie, they think I have like a nice penthouse over by like City Point or something. Like, no, I can't afford to live here anymore. But no, originally from Southie. So I get knocked for being in Zoom calls now where I'm mispronouncing or I'm saying Charlie McAvoy or Charlie Coyle or one of these guys. So I catch a lot of grief now, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so a couple things before we get in here. What makes you so good at the internet?
It's probably the fact that I'm just really friggin' bored. I think especially now we're in the off season, we don't know even when the NHL and the NBA are going to be coming back for the next season. It's just me just staring at a computer screen, just trying to think of anything to pass the time or get something. So like when I dropped that accent thing, I think I had a good hour block of having nothing to do. And I was like, I'm gonna fine tune this list a little bit and see what we got here. So I think it's one, it's just trying to find, because the one thing I like about Twitter, which isn't a lot that you can really like about Twitter, is that it's kind of an improv for everyone where you can, you're all watching the same game or something like that. So it's kind of you trying to find the funniest spin on it or something like that. But I think most of it kind of draws from just being really friggin' bored.
Now, so for some reason, I'm still on the NHL Bruins mailing list. So sometimes I would get the emails from like wrap-ups and stuff from cattle calls. And every week they would do a leader of who has like the best tweets of the week or something like that. And I think you were like, this maybe not have been this past year, but the year prior. I think you were up there for winning. Is that right? I don't know. Again, I don't know why I'm still on that email list, but it's been fun to check out every now and again.
Yeah, I think like the unofficial champion this year, because they didn't bring it back after everything stopped in March. So I'll crown myself the champion if we want to do that. I was the leader in the clubhouse last year until we got to the playoffs. And then Ty Anderson from 98.5 went on like an absurd run. It was like OTs in 2013. He like won like 7 of the last 8, and he just beat me. So it was a tough hit. Had to refocus, try to bounce back, and it worked out pretty well. But I don't think I get any trophy for the fact that more pressing issues showed up in March. I kind of put that to the wayside, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but everyone came back in some way, shape, or form, so they should give you some sort of award, even if it's an asterisk or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they put all you guys in a bubble and then like a think tank sort of thing, and just see who comes up with the best tweets.
Yeah, well, I'll work on it because we have to get, if we're going to end this NHL season on a high note with at least finishing the Cup final, we have to clear all this business before we go into the next season. So
exactly, get all the debt off the books.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Nick, you got a couple questions before we hop in here?
Well,
I want to pick one of the last ones. As
we move towards the accents and everything, when it comes to the bad ones, obviously that was the list that you put out, and I think the bad ones, I'm sure Wes will. I don't want to speak for Wes, but I will, I guess, in this case.
Sure.
The bad ones, it's easier to find in these movies.
Oh,
the good ones, though, I gotta imagine that was a little bit tougher for you, because I know for me it was really tough to kind of round that out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I posted that the bad accent list, I was like, I know I'm gonna get roasted for some of these, and half of them were like, you didn't list Jeff Bridges and Blown Away, idiot. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't watch like Jeff Bridges movies in the early 90s, but there's so many different ones you can break down and find that there's a lot that are bad for a number of reasons, whether it's just over the top or just inconsistent or stuff like that. But then for the good ones, as you said, like there was a few that like stood out right away, but then I was like, all right, who's like 2 through 5? Because it's tough to do one that sounds like, I view it like judging what makes a good accent. It's like if I saw that person and I could see that person, on like 4th Street or, over in Adams Village or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that person before. That's like how some of those people stand out to me, at least in terms of just having that overall like cadence and persona that kind of sticks out.
And
I was just going to say that my top 5, it's not really that they got the accents right. It's that exactly, like I can picture that person in real life situations in there. Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Makes a huge difference. And the other thing too is, and this is for you too, Wes, because when I went out to Chicago for school, everybody was like, I had a thicker accent when I went out there, and as I spent 4 years there, it kind of weakened a little bit. Just certain words that I still do. Like yesterday, I don't throw the R in there. But I'm curious, when you guys go out of the state, or out of New England, I should say. Are people like fascinated by your accent? Because for me and like my mom too, what happened with her, they're like, oh my God, I can't understand half the stuff you're saying right now. So,
well, yeah, I know for me, I went to Hofstra in Long Island, so that's like, talk about enemy territory. So you drop the wicked really quick, like that as an adjective or adverb or whatever. That was quickly dropped just because it's an immediate label. But then like everyone, like you were kind of a commodity in New York. Everyone loved the Boston guy, so that, and then we all kind of gravitated towards each other anyway. Like all my friends, like all my close friends all ended up being from Massachusetts, like 20, 35 minutes away from each other that we didn't know previously, but we all just kind of found each other. But I never really had like a thick Boston accent. And it wasn't until like I went to a Catholic high school. So a lot of my friends through middle school, like I came back and saw them freshman year, and all of a sudden they're dropping the R's and everything. And it's like, you didn't have that. And I just never knew if that was like a puberty thing or just like, all right, this is what all the cool seniors are doing. Like I just never got it. Like it never happened to me. And my dad's from like upstate New York, so he never really had the Boston accent. My mom's from Rockland, so she does. So it's kind of like a weird blend.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like the same for me where you grow up and you go through high school and everyone's got the same accent. And I went, growing up in Southie, and I went to high school in Dorchester, so it really wasn't much of a difference there. But even for me going to BU, you'd think it'd be all amongst the fellow Bostonians, and half people on my floor freshman year from New York, Jersey, California, and all that stuff. So I remember we had like a floor meeting the first day. And our I have to say this actually, our RA came in and walked in and was like, "Is everyone here? Okay." And then she walks out and is rounding up people, and someone's like, "Who the hell is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's IA." And everyone's just like, "What the hell did you just say?" It's like, Jesus, this is true, right? Like, because I honest to God, didn't really notice it until you get called out on it in the middle of a flow meeting your first day of college.
Yeah, absolutely. There, I think that's great. Okay, so I love it. I love the little colloquialisms and the talk here. Let's hop right into it though. Let's start maybe with our worst 5 Boston accents. Maybe we could start with number 5. We'll all kind of go around and say a little bit. Connor, since you're our guest, please lead us off here.
So yeah, there's a lot of worthy candidates here, but I'm gonna go with Vera Farmiga from The Departed, who does 2 bad things, I think, in that she's one, inconsistent because it goes back and forth, but then like when she goes for it, it sounds really bad. Which is like it's one thing if you commit to one of the 2 bad things, but if you got 2 strikes where it sounds just like Vera Farmiga like normally, and then it just completely bottoms out. So I think she's my pick for number 5.
Yeah, and she's probably one of the most like the worst offenders. I think she's probably one of the most like well-known offenders. If you think of The Departed, that's like a classic Boston movie. I think maybe for good and bad reasons. I think there's a lot of bad accents. I think The Departed is going to be coming up kind of frequently in this list here, but it's so bad that it's great. It's kind of that Spider-Man 3 type of feel for me at a certain point. I've gone through waves where I love The Departed, and then I kind of hated it, and now I'm like, I love it for all the reasons that I hated it again. So,
but see, the thing is too, outside of here, they love it. They think it's totally Boston and everything. Go watch Black Mass, and then I mean, I'm sure you can attest that more, Connor, because you're from and everything. Yeah, but. So for my number 5, Wes, I just made a last-minute adjustment because there's one portrayal that I know you cited. I'm not sure if Connor did as well, but I snuck in Amy Adams from The Fighter, and I feel like there are moments where she kind of gets it, but then I was watching the scene on the porch with Christian Bale right after there was this whole one of the many fiascos in that movie, and I'm hearing her just blatantly leaving R's where she shouldn't, and she just sounds tentative throughout all this. I understand you got to remember your lines and all that stuff, and I can't do that shit. But at some point, you got to commit to that completely. I don't know what's going on there. And that's an Academy Award-winning, multi-time nominated actress. There, this can give even the best of actors and actresses fits here. Yeah, absolutely. And she ran track at URI, if I'm not mistaken. At least that Amy Adams, not really Amy Adams, but the character. She did, but she potty too hot and she dropped out. And she liked exactly. She liked to party at bars, not bars, bars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. Number 5. Again, this kind of was going to what we said before. Like, I just can't picture this Boston accent at all for me. This is Ed Helms in Chappaquiddick, so this is kind of a fairly new one. But to take him seriously, to see him try to attempt the Boston accent, and I still see Andy from The Office, like, so it's tough to kind of like put that, because it's kind of like a similar role where he's like a pretty boy, upper middle class, upper echelon, upper crust of society, and again, he kind of goes through. This is like a constant one. I think you had mentioned this, Connor, with like the nasally uppity kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like the Kennedy Mayor Quimby type complex, right. And a lot of people fail at that, and he's one of them. And a lot of the people on my honorable mention list, I kind of had to put him on there because there was one culprit who was like the worst at this Kennedy one. And we'll get into him a little bit later. But Ed Helms, my number 5.
Yeah, number 4 for me, I'm going again with The Departed. I'm going with Martin Sheen as the captain. I mean, there's a lot of bad ones in there, like, Alec Baldwin, I think, stands out. But the thing is, Alec Baldwin, just, you can't take it seriously anyway, because it's just Alec Baldwin just being like a pissed off dude. Like Martin Sheen, I think, whether maybe it's just like his natural voice, when you like add like just a bad accent over it, it just sounds so like jarring.
Microprocessors.
Yeah, that, or like, I think as soon as that movie came out, like the number one thing all my buddies would always be is like, "Any of you mugs got a light?" It's like you like open the door and your buddies are out front. Like there was always be something like that. It's like, it's just so it like takes you out of it when it's just Martin Sheen too. When you like, especially when you just know how he. If you watch like The West Wing or something, you see him as like this hardcore Boston captain. It throws you way out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And then Alec Baldwin made my honorable list just because, again, he throws so much heat. He's throwing 110 the whole time. But it's like, all I could think, I was rewatching it. One of the clips was like right when they're about to set up, and he's like the Patriot Act thing. But he's like, what do you smoke? You smoke? You got a light? You smoke? What are you, one of them health freaks? All right, whatever.
Exactly.
He has like this whole conversation with himself in like 10 seconds.
And then he has that whole thing too with Mark Wahlberg, right? Where he's like too busy fucking your mother or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That whole back and forth, which is great. Yeah, I think that should have been all improvised if it wasn't already.
I had him on my honorable mention list too. I actually had Martin Sheen on there as well. But for some reason I was like, this doesn't sound good to me. But then I saw on the list, because I'm trying, I haven't watched some of these movies in a long time. I'm looking up, trying to find good ones, especially because again, that's the toughest part in all this. And I see him on like one or two good lists. I was like, wait, and I went back and listened. Like, this doesn't sound good. But I say, whatever, fine. Like, I'll just leave him off, put him in honorable mention. But for my number 4 in all this, in this one, I was gonna move it up a little bit higher, but the other 3 are just so bad. This is actually number 4. This is Joel Edgerton in Black Mass. And he's playing John Connolly. Now, part of the reason I dislike this too is because my host family from the Cape actually is from Southie as well, Connor. And there were a few times over the years covering the Red Sox and stuff where I would stay up there, and I would hear stories. They show me, this was Whitey's house. This is where his brother lived, and then and then I'd ask him stories and different things, and he had his things that my host parents had things to say about Whitey and his brother. But Connolly was always the one that they had the biggest issue with. John Connolly, that fucking guy. They had a problem with him. But so he stunk in the movie. And the character is also a scumbag. So.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, I couldn't get over the hair, and just watching him. Like, he had a very punchable face throughout that whole movie.
Yes, he did.
That's just me.
I still like the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's an okay movie.
It's like Jesse Plemons with his hair all up like that. That was like right after Breaking Bad came out too. It's like, it's Todd.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw the maybe this was a while back. I think the Whitey Bulger house was like going for like 1.5 million in South Boston.
Yeah, like bank. It was crazy.
Just go live in a murderer's house. Who knows?
It's fine.
It's cool.
Raises the value.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good talking point at dinner. It's like that and the festive spoons. Number 4, Jack Nicholson from The Departed. So again, this is going to be right on we touched on a lot of it, so it won't be too long. But that one line that that's kind of famous, where he goes in and out and he just kind of gives up on it. But he's like, when I tell you to dump a body in the mosh, I mean in the mosh, and it's just so bad. Like, I can't even do the accent. Like, that's kind of how much of a fraud I am. So just take that for a grain of salt. But I do love everything that he says after like this. He's like, this ain't reality TV. It's just, again, 110, the whole movie. Everyone's just throwing flames.
It doesn't help that Jack Nicholson, if he was reading like an audiobook, it would take him like 40 minutes to go through one chapter, just the way he like talks anyways. So when he says mosh, it feels like it goes on for like a good like 10 seconds. Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's go on to number 3 here.
Yeah, number 3, I'm going kind of, what you were saying about Ed Helms is that like weird 50s, 60s accent that I think everyone thought that just because the Kennedys had that, everyone did, which was not true. But I'm going with Tom Hanks and Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Who's got like just this. Tom Hanks, love him as an actor, great dude. Not very good with the New England Boston accent because he also in Captain Phillips isn't really that good in it. But something I think when you add on that old timey like Kennedy cadence, which again not everyone had. Like I can't even do like a bad impression of it because I can't get that cadence down. But when he's like, "You passed the bar in Louisiana, Frank," it's like, oh, who the hell talks like that? Like,
but he does do a better job at Captain Phillips. Like he pulls it back. He doesn't do that old timey thing.
And that's it helps too when you're at least doing like a modern one where you at least you're not adding like another cadence on top of it because it's like DiCaprio in Shutter Island where he's not only doing an accent but he also has to do that again like that 50s weird kind of thing that I think everyone talked like back then. It's like we're not in a Jimmy Cagney movie, we don't talk like that, especially in like the 50s and 60s. So poor Tom Hanks gets the number 3 spot on my list.
That I won't say anything more on that because that's my number 3 as a matter of fact. I think you hit the nail on the head. Nick, what do you got?
So I actually have Jack Nicholson as my number 3 on this list. So I don't have much more to add, and all this, I think what's needed to be said has been said. But I will say Tom Hanks was on my short list. He was the one I knocked out for Amy Adams. Just wanted to throw another one in there. But I do want to say one thing too, going back to Black Mass, because obviously Jack Nicholson's supposed to kind of be Whitey Bulger and all this too. Johnny Depp's portrayal in Black Mask. I went back and watched a lot of this, getting in preparation for this movie for this episode because I'm trying to see if there's any. I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot of the script was written in such a way where he kind of was able to avoid the R's a lot in the course of it all.
Yeah.
And I found that very strange. I just felt like he talked really slow and it was like kind of just Johnny Depp, but old man.
Didn't he have fake teeth? Like, weren't his teeth like a crazy color in that? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had some like prosthetics and then like they tried to tell him to drop the R's on top of that. Like, he's just spitting it out.
Just sounded like a menacing Johnny Depp. Like he's just speaking really slowly, which I mean, like it worked for the character in terms of like being a menacing dude, but it wasn't like a dude you would expect coming out of like, the Selkie Projects or anything like that.
No, that's not what I would have thought at all. But he was still, I watched that and it was like, this is a much more terrifying portrayal than what we saw in The Departed, which is like, it's cool and fun and,
I'm Jack Nicholson.
Cops and robbers. It's fine. No big deal. Like, no, this is some serious friggin' shit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So I'll jump in here with my number 2 here since we moved on, right? Says I got John Goodman, who's playing the role of Commissioner Ed Davis in Patriots Day. And it seems like he's like trying to do a little bit of like Mumbles Menino in here because he's talking with like rocks full of his mouth the whole time. The line that really gets me is when they're debating whether to release the pictures to like the press. And that's all you hear him say is like, we need to release the pictures. And it's just so bad. He's like jumbling and everything. Like, I don't know what Commissioner Ed Davis sounds like, but this wasn't John Goodman's best effort, in my opinion. Great movie. Hate Mark Wahlberg. Connor, I would love your opinion. I feel like Mark Wahlberg is a horrible representation of Boston. I'm a Ben Affleck guy, the Boston alpha male. I don't know where you stand on that or if you'd like to weigh in.
I hate Mark Wahlberg. I can't stand the dude. His burgers suck. He's a shitty actor.
Thank you.
He's legitimately not a good dude, which everyone kind of gets lost in the shuffle there. I'm not a big fan of Mark Wahlberg. Even like in The Departed, people are like, oh, he was so good. It's like he's playing a pissed off dude from Dorchester. He's literally playing himself. He's gigging for. He got an Oscar nomination out of it. He's just pissed off.
That's right. He did get an Oscar. Oh my god.
He was the only actor in it that got an Oscar nom, I think. Which I mean, again, it's a lot of hammy roles in that movie. So it's kind of an indictment that Mark Wahlberg is as playing himself. But
have you guys always disliked him? Because I haven't always disliked him. I'm not a fan now.
The funny thing is, he's fine in like movies where he plays like a big dummy. So I don't hate him in Ted is not a movie I watched. When I watched it as a freshman in college, I thought this is the funniest movie ever. He's fine in that where he plays like a big dummy. Like one of my favorite movies is Boogie Nights, which he's good in that, but he also just plays like a big dummy. Yeah, he plays a big meathead in that too. So I haven't really usually been a fan, but there's some movies I watch. I'm like, well. I'll just tune him out. Like if I know what he is and like he's like a dummy in Boogie Nights, I can still enjoy it. Where it's not
he picks great movies. He's not great. Like he doesn't make movies great, but he's a part of great movies.
Right.
And then it was really the Super Bowl in Atlanta thing that like tipped me off that this guy's a fraud. Like that just pushed me over the edge. That he left Bob Kraft's suite. Like and then you're in Bob Kraft's suite. Yeah.
He also used like his kid as an excuse. Yeah. Like, come on, buddy.
Yeah, get out of my face with that. When that happened, then I started to hear him. I had no idea that he was like this a-hole. Then I find out. Then I have no time for you. Then everything you do pretty much sucks.
We got a bunch of other guys we'll turn to. Don't worry. We don't need Mac.
What's your number 2 then, Connor?
Number 2 for me, a guy who, regardless of what the accent is having a rough day when he has to do one, is Kevin Costner in 13 Days, which is came out in I think maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, but about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he plays a guy in Kennedy's. I think maybe he's like his chief of staff or something like that, but he's from I think Worcester, and dude, it's what you'd expect. Like I don't know who did like the casting for that. And it's like, who we need here. Kevin Costner. Like, we know this guy nails these accents, so I'm going to roll him in there. So
I know the perfect guy, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it's like, like the track record with Kevin Costner and the fact he usually just does Kevin Costner. And then but he tries here and it's so friggin' bad. Like in a movie where you also have, a bad Kennedy impression, where at least you're doing like an impression, not like a breakdown of his accent. Like Kevin Costner, just every time he talks, it's so bad. You wonder why like they didn't just launch the missiles after like Kevin Costner's the guy who's on the phone negotiating to stop the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Well, in my opinion, he would be number 1. Change My Mind podcast. We are an official anti-Kevin Costner, pro-Cal Ripken podcast here. So that's
good.
I just want to get that out there on the record. So I fully stand behind that pick.
Don't speak for me.
I will in this case.
I love Field of Dreams. I don't know why people hate that movie. Connor, do you know that story? Because Wes was the first one to tell me the Cal Ripken, Kevin Costner story.
I actually don't know about that one, no.
Well, allegedly, and just to get everyone else up to speed here. So allegedly, Cal Ripken Jr. was supposed to have his streak end one night. And prior to that, right before game time, he caught his wife in bed with Kevin Costner. And he was so distraught about it, he was going to put the streak on the line. And what they did that day, it was something, they had like a light issue or something is what they came up with. So he got his one at bat and then the game was canceled and then he left. So the streak, should have been canceled. It was almost put on the line. The Iron Man streak, Cal Ripken Jr. Because of fucking Kevin Costner.
I mean, that's a devastating hit. Like Field of Dream Zone, Kevin Costner ruining his baseball dream.
Right. Someone was doing it for love of the game. Am I right?
Yeah,
it's all alleged. Just putting that out there. That's why
allegedly. Quotes around that. Allegedly.
Yes, so Wes could be wrong, which is why I haven't fully gone away from Kevin Costner and all this. Anyways.
Yeah, we're all well-respected journalists. We don't need to get caught up in anything. Allegedly. Yes, allegedly.
But the number 1 rule in journalism school, Wes, is...
Yeah, never run away from a good story. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Anyways, that brings me to my number 2, which I am stunned that you guys left this off. Maybe it's just because you don't look at this as a Boston movie, which I can totally understand it. But I think everybody, again, outside of New England thinks that this is totally a Boston movie. Fever Pitch, Jimmy Fallon. He's not even doing a Boston accent. And I get it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. But he's raised, you go into the Sox games and everything like that. I don't know Drew Barrymore's situation. I can't remember. I can't stand Drew Barrymore. We are definitely. Are you a Drew Barrymore fan, Wes? Because I
think this whole movie dropped the accent. Like I don't even think they even tried. Like I went back and was looking at clips, and maybe this was like only through the trailers and the clips that I was watching. But like it didn't seem like they really laid it on thick here at all.
I think the guy who's narrating the story at the beginning tries to have one, like his like the dude with the glasses and the hair we've seen.
Right, yeah.
He's one of those actors who shows up every once in a while.
The doctor, he's that guy, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't. And I think that the family that Jimmy Fallon kind of grows up with, going to the games with and stuff, they all have the accent, and Jimmy doesn't pick it up along the way.
I feel like Jimmy just negotiated in the deal. It's like, we're going to have a bunch of like goobas who are going to be around you, who are going to like have the thick accent. And then like all of his buddies who does like the draft, like the draft with to get the season tickets and stuff like that. Those are the guys who are pulling the weight of like, we're going to have you be the townie guys and Jimmy Fallon just be Jimmy Fallon.
Yep, exactly.
Was Fitzy one of the friends in that movie? Like, I feel like he would be like a perfect friend in that movie.
He might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably before his time.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I could see that happening though. Anyways, so yeah, Jimmy Fallon in Fever Pitch is my number 2.
Okay, all right. What do you got for your number 2, Con? Did we get you yet in there?
Yep, I got Costner. So I think
that's right. Yeah, we're all right. Number 1. Yeah, we got lost in the snake at some point. It all got screwed up here. My number 1, Mystic River, Sean Penn. Sean Penn, one of the more, I mean, you talk about assholes, right? Someone who takes himself so seriously. We were just talking about Spicoli and Shia LaBeouf and everything, and the Fast Fast Times at Ridgemont High table read. This guy, takes himself so seriously. A guy I don't picture being a Bostonian by any means, no matter how much of a scumbag he is. And I feel like that's a staple for some reason. If I'm going to believe that you're going to be a Bostonian, you kind of have to be a scumbag.
Right.
Which I'm not sure why my mind works that way, but that's it. This guy is a classic scumbag. Don't buy him. And you get the classic line in there. Is that my daughter in there? Is that my daughter in there?
It's about like 900 decibels higher. Yeah. It's shrieking. It's not even a yell. It's like shrieking it.
It's so great. And like when it came up on Netflix, you know how you get those like extended clips? Like it's not even a trailer, but they'll just play like a clip from the movie. And it was that one. And I was trying to tell my wife like about this scene. And I was like, I think it's on Netflix. I'll pull it up. And it just so happened to be that exact scene. And I was like, we're watching this movie. Like this is like the most over the top and it's so serious, right? It's such a sad scene, but he goes way over the top that I just can't help but laugh into it. And the accent, don't even bother.
And he got an Oscar out of it too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh man,
that scene probably won him an Oscar, and that's him just shrieking the entire time.
Yeah, that's it. That was the role right there.
I've never understood the Sean Penn appeal in general. Not a big fan.
No. Especially in that role, it's like he went to he did the same route that like DiCaprio did to get The Revenant, which I mean he was good in The Revenant, but it was him like just getting the shit kicked out of him for like 2 hours and screaming. Like he was good, but it's like I can think of like other roles where I think he was probably a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. He would be a big Bigelow T guy. You got to save the voice, all that yelling.
Exactly.
So I think the first movie that I ever fell asleep in the theaters, maybe it's the only one. I think it's the only one. Is The Gunman with that Sean Penn stars in. It was in 2015. I can't remember a single thing that happened in that movie. It was brutal.
That makes 3 of us, my friend.
Yeah.
So there you go.
What do you got, Nick?
So my number 1. Wait a minute. Does Connor have the same? I don't want to step on Connor. I don't know if he has the same number 1 as me. Why don't you go first, Connor? I'm
going with Benedict Cumberbatch and Black Mass. So is that what you have?
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's funny. I got a lot of like some people were. It's shocking on Twitter. You had a bunch of reply guys who were like, it actually, he's doing an impression of Billy Bulger. Have you heard him talk? It's like, yeah, I know what he sounds like. And I get what Benedict Cumberbatch was going for because he has like that kind of weird kind of delivery, but you mix in like it's not a good accent. Plus like Benedict Cumberbatch voice anyway, it just is like super jarring when you hear it. Like every time he's in a scene, like especially the one where he's with Joel Edgerton.
At the restaurant.
It's like going back and forth. I was like, but it's just something about it. Whether I think it's like it's like the perfect storm of just like Cumberbatch's own voice plus like what he's trying to do with like the delivery plus it's just a bad accent. It's like shocking. Like I was like in the theater, I saw it at the old Somerville Theater in Davis Square. And we watched it there, and he goes through that first scene you see him. I think it's when he's with Whitey and his mom. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, holy shit! Like this movie, like what did they do here? So that's far and away number 1 for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's my number 1 as well. Just to get into some of the honorable mention before we get to the good ones, I also I mentioned a few of them already, but Mel Gibson, The Edge of Darkness. I saw a scene of that one. Oh, God, that was friggin' brutal. Yeah. And then I don't know. I need help on this one. Boondock Saints. I know that Norman Reedus and his brother, I forget that actor's name, are Irishmen in that movie. Now, Norman Reedus' accent sucks in that movie, but I still enjoy it. Willem Dafoe, not the Bostonian in that movie, right?
I don't think so. Right?
I don't think so. He was an FBI agent. I don't think he's from Boston. I just wanted to double check. Because if it was, like, there's no accent there. Right?
Doesn't even try.
It's just Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
So I think we're fine. So then we've covered all my honorable mention already.
So, yeah, I mentioned a couple of them. I had Adam Sandler, Donnie Berger. From That's My Boy, and he kind of goes some accent, but then he's also just kind of doing like the Adam Sandler like accent, like the goobly goo type of thing that he does.
It'd be funny if the director was like committed to him doing a Boston accent, but just Adam Sandler can't help himself to do like the Adam Sandler isms and just ruining it. So just like we thought this was going to be the time. We thought this was going to be the Oscar. This was before Uncut Gems. It's like we thought we had one here.
This is the one here. We got it. No, I don't really remember this movie very well, but from a lot of the lists that I've done research, they said this one was pretty bad. So this is just to kind of get it out there. Diane Lane from The Perfect Storm. She wasn't very good. The other one, it's tough because I feel like some of the women have a tough role in doing the Boston accents sometimes. I don't know if it's always like there, but Blake Lively from The Town. She's a quintessential look of a Boston girl. Maybe Boston girl might say at a certain type, but the accent's not there.
No.
It's not there for me.
Everything's there but that, and she's probably a little more attractive than most of them.
A couple movies that didn't, like 21 didn't have any Boston accents in it. They didn't even try. I feel Kevin Spacey or who is it? It's not Ewan McGregor, but the other British guy.
But it's that MIT.
It's all.
He lived there though, right? I thought his mom lived
He's MIT. I mean, come on.
I guess he was a local kid, though. He worked in a suit shop.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. Fine. But Connor, you had a few more because you did a worst 10, right?
Yeah. I pretty much said all the guys you had. Diane Lane. Yeah, that one stands out. That one, I think people were like, you should have had her higher because it's Fred. That one, she pours it on pretty heavy. Matt Damon, I think in The Departed is really bad. I think just it's so over the top that it like even takes you out of it, or you're just like, but anytime he says "fuck you," it's the best part because it's just like the FAAAHK. It's like "fuck you." It's like all right, like
after they play rugby or something with the
firefighters. Yeah, exactly.
Go save a kitten up in a tree.
Yeah, exactly. So he's up there among the many pretty rough bad accents in The Departed. Laura Linney's not that good in Mystic River, I don't think. But again, that's one where it's just kind of pouring it on heavy. So there's a whole bunch you can go through. It's like the list is crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot. But the goods, I think we're going to have a lot of overlap in the goods on these two lists.
Yeah, and just to keep things tight, we'll run through these a little bit quicker here on the top 5 here. So number 5 for me is Robin Williams from Good Will Hunting. I like his performance. I think it's very nuanced. Again, I think like when you think of memorable Boston performances, they're usually scumbags. He's not one of them. So he kind of defies that. And again, he kind of has the subtle little things going on with him there that I like about the Boston, but it's not like too thick. So
it's good, understated, like good job. Like it's important, not too heavy. Yeah, 5 for me is Jeremy Renner in The Town. I think he does a good job as someone from not around here. It seems more authentic, even more than I think maybe a lot of those other guys, and even like Affleck. I think Renner just did a good job of kind of assuming kind of what that role is, and I think he did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's my number 2. I loved it.
Yeah. He was good.
Someone from an outsider coming in and then really just nailing that someone that we all know from high school or something like I love. When he's talking to the bank teller when they're out to eat at the restaurant or something, he's like talking about Jim or Jem, and he's like, "Well, you can have this one. He's a real gem." Just that kind of like shit talking thing that you could tell he was like probably a real prick in high school.
Yes.
What is it when Ben Affleck says, "I need your help. You can't ask me any questions, but we're going to hurt some people."
Yeah.
Whose car are we taking?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the best line in the whole movie, and then the back and forth too when him and Affleck are he's talking about when Affleck ends up saying, "So we never gonna be me, you, Shine, and your sister dressing up and playing house. So get that through your fucking head."
Yeah. In that same scene, he's like, "What do you mean? Oh, what are you talking about, Shine? All you care about is Coke and Xbox." Right. Now that's a tandem, right? Like that's something. Right?
Yes, I think everybody loves The Town, right? Consensus, good movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For my money, that's the best Boston movie. That's just me.
That's something we're gonna have to do another day for rankings because we haven't done that yet, right, Wes?
No, we haven't.
I'll tell you what, that was a great time for that to come out because that came out right when I was a freshman in college out in Chicago, and everybody thought, it was perfect. Everybody loved it. So actually, Renner is my number 4, but I'm still on my number 5. I actually went with Melissa Leo, who is the mother in The Fighter, and she also looks the part very much too. Yes, and that definitely helps a ton. But she is so whiny. She plays the role well too. Okay. She's a pain in the friggin' ass, but I like looking at her performance objectively. She does an outstanding job.
Yeah, and I think she smokes a great cigarette too. So that's something I'm big on. Like who smokes a really good cigarette in this? And again, that kind of just assumes that Boston role, that persona a little bit. I imagine she smokes like a nice Winston, maybe a Pall Mall, maybe of the 100 variety at a certain point. I feel like as you get older, you need those longer cigarettes. So yeah, I think she does a great job.
That brings us to you on number 4, Wes.
Yeah, so my number 4, I'm going back to the Adam Sandler well here and doing a Longfellow Deeds from, of course, Mr. Deeds. And this one, because you don't really think, because it doesn't take place in Boston, and he's a New Hampshire guy, but he's still, New Hampshire accent, it's still the Boston accent there.
Yep.
I think
Rhode
Island is when you kind of start to get that New York mix in. There's definitely a little different accent, I would say, in the Rhode Island than like the Boston and New Hampshire thing that's going on there. But I think he does a good job. I got wicked bad frostbite. And it just kind of rolls off naturally too. It sounds like he's not really efforting too much here. I don't want to use the subtle term again because that's how I already described Robin Williams. But you could tell that Adam Sandler grew up with this accent and didn't have to really flex it as much, because then he kind of disowned his New England ship, right? He calls himself a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker. Yeah. So, but he can kind of check back into it when he has to. I think he did a good job of that here.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. I forgot he's from around here originally. Yep. Good call, Wes.
I think who's it? Silverman. I think Sarah Silverman. I think they're from the same town in New Hampshire.
Oh, really?
Huh. Yeah, and like Seth Meyers. I think they're all in like the same maybe like region.
Didn't know that. What do you got at number 4, Connor?
I'm kind of going off of what you said, Wes, in terms of kind of an understated job. I thought Michael Keaton actually did a pretty good job in Spotlight. I think that's a movie where it seems like they did a pretty good job of getting, either the actual people or people that really worked with them on getting those accents down. Because again, no one in the Spotlight had a super thick accent. It wasn't like a towny guy that was, fighting with them the whole time. But him, like Stanley Tucci, I think did a pretty good job. So I think, again, it wasn't super outlandish or anything like that, but you weren't looking for that in a guy like Michael Keaton in that role. But he hit on kind of all the smaller points that sounded like just a dude who got the accent, but it's not like he's dropping it every single time. It worked well for what he was going for in that role.
Yeah, one of the clips that I saw when I was going back that was of him, and he's talking to, I don't know, it looks like someone he went to like high school with or something like that, and they're talking about one of the victims that they're reporting on. He's like, "You played hockey there. It could have been one of us." It was all like the and it seems like a very Boston thing. Like we grew up playing Pee-wees together. That could have been one of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Played on the third line.
Yeah. I saw that clip leading up to this too. I thought that's a good call. I actually wound up for my number 3 because we're on 3 now. Or you guys doing 4?
Yeah, because you had your 4 with Leonard, right? So
right. Okay. I don't want to jump too far ahead. Okay, so I actually went with Tim Robbins from Mystic River, and I was watching a few clips, getting ready for all this. Hadn't seen this movie in a while, and the thing that's different about Robbins too is he's like, what is he, probably like a character in his 50s or 60s at this point, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, sure,
And he's very, where people like the stereotype that Boston people will talk fast, he's a little bit more methodical, but it fits for the age of his character. Obviously, his character's seen a lot of shit, as we find out throughout the course of the movie. But I thought that he didn't lean into it too hard. It was like just the right amount. It's still not the best. I think the 2 that I have ahead of him are far and away better, but he's kind of, I think, on a slightly different level than where I have Renner and Melissa Leo.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because I had him on that list and I kind of dropped him out to an honorable mention. I thought he did a good job, but I think what aids him even better is that he's up against Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, is Kevin Bacon in that movie?
Yes, he's a cop.
Yeah, that's right. Because I screw him up with City on the Hill. He's done a couple of good Boston movies, and I think he's someone who's come back regularly and actually has done a pretty decent job. But when you have those guys, he can kind of play it subtly and doesn't have to go over the top. Yes. Which I think kind of helped him out there.
Bacon's also in Black Mask, and also Lawrence Fishburne is in that too. And I saw some of his stuff, and I didn't think he was particularly all that great with his accent either. So,
Connor, what do you got for number 3?
Number 3, I'm going with, I think you could put a couple of different people from Manchester by the Sea. I think actually the guy who stood out to me that impressed me, because Casey Affleck's good, but I put him in the same role as Wahlberg in The Departed, where he's also from around here, so he knows how to get that.
Right.
And he also just naturally has that kind of like nasally kind of voice that works well anyway.
Stop antagonizing me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's literally, the Duncan one was like
yeah.
But I actually think a guy who stood out well in Manchester by the Sea is actually the kid Lucas Hedges. I think he did a pretty good job of. He like reminds me of every like high school hockey player, like just the cadence he kind of has and stuff like that. So I thought he did a good job. And then I think Michelle Williams, who I think is good in like everything she does, but I thought she did a pretty good job. So I think anyone on that group, but I'll go with Lucas Hedges because I think for a guy who's not from around here, who is kind of got those smaller kind of inflections in the way he kind of carries about himself, I think he did a really good job for a guy like that.
I love that. And of course, Michelle Williams got her start in the Cape Cod themed show, Dawson's Creek. So maybe that was her time to work on the accent there. Though it was filmed in North Carolina, and I'm sure there were no accents used. So just another little tie-in, right? That's a little something. My number 3, this was an Academy Award-winning performance, if I'm not mistaken. Christian Bale in The Fighter. If you're looking for, a great depiction of a strung out druggie. I think he pretty much nails it on the head there. And there's always there's a thing that my friends like to say when we describe people. It's like in town, like definitely townies. I think this would qualify as one. It's a good guy, local guy, horrible babysitter, and like that last thing, what you're supposed to say is like really something bad. Like good guy, local guy, just don't lend him any money, or something like that. Just don't leave him around your kids. And I feel like that's what people would say about, Christian Bale's performance in The Fighter. He's a good guy. He's a local guy. Just don't leave anything around him.
Where'd you park the fucking car, boo-boo?
Boo-boo, right. Yeah.
I didn't fucking park it. You did. Oh, where'd you park the fucking car? I need the road work anyways. Road work? He's a great runner.
He dials it up. He dials it up, but I think he kind of pulls it off.
He's my number 1. I love Christian Bale in this movie. And a quick little side story. After that movie came out, because The Fighter is one of my all-time favorites. After that movie came out, my dad wanted to get me boxing lessons with Dickie Eklund because I guess he was doing like group lessons or whatever. And then I was like, Dad, he's still kind of a mess from everything that I've seen. Looking up, he's like, really? Yeah, he's still kind of a mess. So maybe we don't do that. He's like, you sure? Yes, I don't want lessons with Dickie Eklund. Thank you for the offer, but I'm all set.
You'll just be thinking of just Boo Boo the entire time as he's squaring up with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now we'll go on to number 2 here. My number 2 is Jeremy Renner. Connor, who was your number 2?
Number 2 for me is Christian Bale. I think he nails it in that role. Especially that's like I think when we talked about earlier about you could see those people in that role. Christian Bale. It's like there's like that one scene where he's fighting with Amy Adams when they're at the gym and she calls him like a junk bag or something. He's like, I'm 8 months sober. It's like that's like a dude. Like I've used to seeing those guys either outside, like the Packy or something like that. So
you hang out at a VFW or something.
Yeah. The dude who's just hanging around. Everyone knows him. Like he's generally will be harmless, but he's always like talking to you when you're walking by and you don't want to talk to. Like it's one of those guys. Like he nails that in terms of being that local guy who obviously he's kind of lost his way, but he's got a whole bunch of a character to him. So I think mean deservingly won the Oscar for that because he was awesome in that role.
Yeah, knocked it out of the park. I'll stop him.
Yeah, please do. So my number 2, Wes, I believe is your number 1. Would you like to say who it is?
Yeah, and if I may go on a limb, this may be Connor's number 1 too. It's Amy Ryan from Gone Baby Gone.
Yep.
She is just again talking about the perfect, stereotypical, to really embody someone that we all know in our lives. It's Amy Ryan, and there's nothing better in that scene where she's talking to Michelle Monaghan, who I think is also Boston. Right, Bridgewater, I think, or is that Bridget Moynihan? I don't know. I could be mistaken, but anyway. Casey Affleck, and they're all in the car scene, and she's talking about how, kind of flirting with Casey Affleck, and I won't say the F word. Oh, you're dating that, going on and all that stuff, and it's like it is just perfect. Looks it down, and to think that this is again like you bring back from The Office, like this is why am I blanking on her name?
Holly Flax, right?
Yeah, Holly Flax from The Office there, and then to put this on where she like really looks like a dirtbag, like coming right out of the gutter, and she just plays such a wholesome character, the transformation is second to none.
Yeah, no, that was like shocking when you first see that movie. Like, just like I've seen this person 50 times over, growing up from around here. Just like the accent's great, but just like the the cadence and the nasally, like high pitched voice that like also like drags on. Like it's tough to explain, especially if you haven't seen the movie. But just the overall way she kind of goes about it and how she delivers her lines, it's just like, oh my god, man! Like, that was money. I don't think she even won. She was nominated. I don't think she won.
Oh man, that was,
it was awesome.
And just like her unawareness and like her sense of and not maybe not entitlement. Maybe entitlement's not a bad word, but she's just like not aware of the situation. Is just kind of like always joking around while her kid is like gone. And this is like the type of person you might see on Route 1 pushing a stroller with like a brown paper bag or something like that. Maybe with a significant other there as well. Maybe in some jorts.
That's like a testament to how good she is too, because I think we all did like we know that person. We've seen this person 50 times.
It's crazy. It's not just because she's a Boston girl 1,000%, but also I feel like if you go to Fall River, New Bedford, any of the cities isn't like too far Western Mass, you've seen this girl 50 times at least. Needs to know 6. It's crazy. I mean, watch 5 minutes of it. If you don't know what a Boston girl's like, watch 5 minutes of her portrayal, and you're going to have it guide you what the average one is like.
Yeah, so I feel like Blake Lively's character in The Town is like a sexy version of what Amy Ryan is supposed to be in this movie. And like the Blake Lively version is probably like unrealistic. Like the Amy, it's like that meme, right? Like, Connor, you know what I mean here. Like expectations versus reality. And that's what you're getting there.
Exactly.
The meme,
100%.
Yeah.
So that's great. And then so Nick, what was your number one?
My number one was Christian Bale.
Okay, so all right. So anything else you wanted to touch on with that?
No, I mean, I had a couple. No, I said what I needed to say there, but my honorable mentions really quickly. I mean, the only honorable mentions I had were guys who are from Boston. I felt like,
exactly. Yeah.
That's it. They do well when they have to play themselves from home, I guess. I don't know.
I will say the sisters in the fighter were pretty good. I don't even know who they were. They might have just literally been people from Lowell.
Oh, they just pulled them right off the street there. Yeah, like, hey, why don't you come here? Yeah, just cross this line.
Right.
Sign some paperwork. We'll get you.
You get to punch Amy. You get to punch Amy Adams.
Right.
Wes, I'm stunned they didn't make your list, because when we were getting ready for this, those are the first like people you brought up.
Oh yes, that was my honorable mention in there. And I thought that was I wanted to give some credit to the actual people who performed here. And actually did some. Again, these were probably just city folk who were around.
Maybe
just watching things happen as they were anyway. Just coming out of their triple deckers. Just got their Dunkins in hand,
Hey, fuck you, Charlene.
Yeah, that's the best part. As she's closing the door too. It's like, and the person's walking the Cocker Spaniel across the street.
And what kind of dog is that? A Cocker Spaniel?
Okay, yeah.
Nice dog.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I gotta rewatch that shit.
Okay, so Connor, we'll wrap up here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to drop in. Before we go, though, I want to put your coals to the fire here. Your feet to the fire. Your feet to the coals.
Yes,
something like
something around there.
I'm right around it. Best Boston movie.
Best Boston movie. My favorite Boston movie is Good Will Hunting, which maybe it's because I'm from around there, but I think that was the first movie I saw that, especially from a screenplay, just how that was written, that I think resonated in terms of, I think, growing up wherever you're from, even you resonate with you want to grow up your whole life there and stuff like that. And that was the first movie, I think, in terms of taking it to screen, where it shows you that you got to go and expand beyond that. Says the guy who went to BU and is now covering the Bruins, but it's just, you can't just go hang around Southleaf the whole rest of your life. And I just think the performances in that are great. Robin Williams obviously is awesome in it, and that was the first movie I think when I watched it that when you're 11, 12, you just want to watch action movies or something like that. That's the first movie where I think the only action is the dude gets punched out at the playground. So that movie, I think, sticks out to me as one that, but there's a whole bunch of really good ones.
Casey Affleck's face in that scene sort of sticks out to me.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw that in there.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, that's like one of the all-time favorite movies. Again, like talk about rewatchable movies. I mean, anytime that's on TNT, TBS, any scene, that's going to suck me right into it. Like no matter what, I always got like 10 minutes for Good Will Hunting.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So Connor, once again, as the NHL season, unfortunately, the Bruins, couldn't get to the Cup final again this year. But where can the people follow you as the Stanley Cup final comes down to a close?
Yeah, you can follow me over at our site at bostonsportsjournal.com and subscribe there. Even though it's going to be a long off season, we have pretty much stuff dropping pretty much every single day, whether it's even Q&As, features, breakdowns, all that good stuff. And then you can follow me on Twitter at ConnorRyan_93. It's Connor with one N.
Yeah. And that's the best gifs and memes in the game that you're going to get here. And before we go, I know I said put your coals to the fire here. Who's winning the Stanley Cup final this year?
I'm going with Dallas. I'm going after seeing what happened last year with the Bruins losing to that St. Louis Blues team that promptly imploded because they're really not a good team. I'm going to go with Dallas. I think they got the defensive structure. I think they got a hot goalie in net. I'm all for Anton Khudobin lifting the cup, hopefully by the end of next week.
So are you rooting for Anton Khudobin or are you rooting for Tyler Seguin here?
Well, Tyler Seguin's not even scoring right now, so he's pretty much doing a repeat of the 2013 Cup Finals. So I think it's more a testament of winning without him. So it's like when the Cubs won in 2016, which was great to see, but also like Aroldis Chapman blew the save, so you could enjoy him blowing the save, but also like the Cubs won. It's like, oh, okay, everyone wins.
Speaking my language right now.
Except the Indians.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good point.
Absolutely. Well, Connor, again, thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the Cup final here. And we'll make sure to tag you on Twitter when this goes live.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Yep. See you.
All right. Good stuff.
All right. Yeah, and that's it, man. That's Connor Ryan. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at ConnorRyan_93. That's Connor with one N. Again, awesome Bruins reporter. Awesome hockey guy, even better for the fun. I mean, one of the great followers on Twitter, I would suggest, especially in the cesspool that is Twitter.
True. And before we move on from our main topic, this came in here, but a little bit throughout the transition. Goo wanted to let you know that your Donnie Burger call was great.
Thanks, Goo. Okay, so now we're going to be introducing a brand new topic here, a brand new segment, actually, if we can here. And this is something that will be on our audio-only version here. So we're just going to set this up nicely here. But this is a segment. This is actually a pretty big guest. I know Connor Ryan is a huge guest, but this is potentially a worldwide celebrity that we're getting here. So this is our new segment that we have, getting caught up with keeping up with the Kardashians, with Kourtney Kardashian and myself, Wesley Sykes. Wes, take it away.
Absolutely amazing stuff.
And then if you're following this, if you're going to be following this up, as we're listening here, we're going to be going right into the quarantine corner now. But go back and listen to get caught up on keeping up with the Kardashians. But in the quarantine corner, we've got a lot of hard C sounds going on right now. I think I pulled them off nicely. But Nick, how have you been quarantining? How have you been breaking quarantine, actually?
First, quarantining by watching Ratched, which is on Netflix. I watched the first episode of this. I saw the trailers on Netflix. It was freaky as shit. I don't watch horror stuff at night, so then it usually doesn't scare me. That's what I did with The Ring. I cheated. I know. I don't care. But I watched Ratched at night. Oh, Wes, I had to step outside to go get something, came back, and I had a tough time going to sleep at first. I got to be honest. It's got some old school vibes, but new school quality. I highly recommend it for people who get scared. So this means you like getting scared. So you probably won't watch this, right?
I probably won't, but I've heard good things. Maybe I'll give it a go. I have a tough time committing, especially on TV shows recently. Like I just found myself going back to the same thing. So I'm looking for something new. Maybe I'll give The Boys a whirl.
Oh, there you go. Because you have Amazon Prime, right?
I got it. It's just tough to navigate. Like I got to go to the different HDMI and then go on the Fire Stick and it's a whole thing.
Well, look, I am as guilty as anybody of being anti when it comes to just random ass shit. Just trust me when I say this. That's not something to go and be anti on.
I know. I gotta just tuck my sack up and be a man.
But I respect doing that every once in a while. I can totally get behind that. Just not in this one.
Just out of spite. Sometimes you got to zag when other people are zigging.
Now you bring up breaking quarantine. For those who don't know, don't follow us or anybody else from the hashtag #DorkSharedGooniverse on Twitter. Wes was kind enough to put a little golf outing together. We went over and golfed in Plainville, had a blast with a bunch of the guys that could make it. And I was very happy with how I performed. It was one of my better. I'm not a good golfer. I don't golf a ton. It was one of my better days though golfing. So I thank you so much for putting that together. We had a blast at the 99s after too.
I've come to the conclusion. I've now golfed with you twice, and I think that this is where like your athleticness shows up. Is that like when people are around, you tend to play better, and that's like the exact opposite of me. Like, or just like my dad and I, or something, or just like me and one other person. Like, I tend to play better, and then with a bit, like you tense up, you try to swing big and stuff like that, and then you're doing too much, and everything breaks down. But for yourself, like whenever we had a big crowd, and it was 8 of us, right? So it was 2 of us. It was Doc Joe Backcracker. Joe Gilmore there. We had Ryan Davey from the Dork Podcast. We had Mac and Goo. And then we had Billy D and Josh Canoe, right? Who was, I think he does the
NBC Sports
Knocker podcast or JKLOL. I could be mistaken on one of those. So I apologize on that. But he was great. Met him for the first time. But when they all gathered around, I mean, you were just putting on a clinic, like sending bombs like you're like goddamn Willie Mo Pena in batting practice.
I said to you on one of them where I had it was one of my better drives of the day. I said it out loud. I don't know if you heard me, but I said, I'm just going to fucking rip into this one or something like that. Heroes, hey, for the kids at home, heroes get remembered and legends never die. Remember that.
Yes. But so you played very well. I thought we played, a very nice round here. So we weren't too far off the lead, but we weren't in the last place either. So
exactly. We want to be in this, not in the polls, but in this kind of stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think right in the middle was a good place to be. So that was a lot of fun. 99 was great. We had the other Wes also show up, who apparently lived right by. I didn't know about that. So he lived close by. So we had, Wes from formerly of the Boxers podcast. I believe Wheelman Wes is his new avatar now, which is great. But it's like, I loved having him there. It was a good time. It's just an adjustment for me.
I love this
foreign territory because. I've never been around another Wesley. And he said the same thing. Like sometimes in Weston, I knew another Weston who was in the fraternity, but we were already kind of like a couple years separated at that point. So like it wasn't that much of an overlap, but like it's just something weird. I don't know. You're Nick, so there's like Nicks everywhere, right? So like, my
roommate in college was named Nick.
Yeah, so I'm just navigating through uncharted territory right now, and I'm trying. It's not that I don't like it. It's just it takes getting used to.
Thoughts and prayers, Wes. I know it's a difficult.
So that's really what's been grinding my gears lately. No.
Would you rather we start calling you Sykes? Would that make it easier?
No, because that's weird. That doesn't roll off the tongue. My buddies in college call me SY or Wheezy. That was that.
Wheezy?
Wheezy, yeah.
Wheezy? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Wesley. I'm big into rap music.
Yep. No, I do see that where they got that. All right. Well, that's surely that's something else. But
yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Do you have anything else for the quarantine corner?
No, that was it. We played some golf. It was a good time.
All right. So this week,
we gotta go bowling next time. I think that's
yes. And also, I saw people saying we should have put this on Twitch. We got some pictures at Goo's golf swing was outrageous. We got some stuff. Definitely didn't do enough that we will not make that mistake twice. We learned from our mistakes.
I think we were enjoying ourselves too. I think there's something to be said about living in the moment and just keeping something that's just for ourselves. We so often give back to the people. It's kind of like a 2 for you, 1 for me sort of thing, right?
I think that's fair. I think we should be more like 3 for you, 1 for me. We are the People's Podcast after all. I can't speak for everybody else on the DSG, but I can tell you what's going on in the DSG this week.
Yes, please do.
Hashtag Dork after our show, our live show tonight. They are going to be talking about the devil all the time over on their YouTube channel, and I believe on the hashtag Dork Shared Gooniverse Facebook page. Mac and Goo talked Goodfellas this week. Their episode came out ahead of Goo's Day, which is a shocker.
What is Goo's Day anymore? It's like the news dump is like not on Friday afternoons anymore. Like the Goo's Day comes out on Sunday. Sometimes it's on Mondays. Like what's a Goose Day anymore?
Wow, shots fired at Mac and Goo.
I'm just looking for clarification. That's all.
That's fair. Maybe they can clear that up for us.
I hope they do.
PCP is going to feature a one Wesley Sykes this week. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, so this is going to be a great one. So we're going to be doing one hit wonders. So it's me and Davey from hashtag Dork. So we're going to be talking one hit wonders there. So we haven't hammered down an exact recording date, but it will be this week at some point. So I'm very excited for it. I have maybe 5 songs. I'm not even sure how much we're supposed to draft. I'm not sure exactly what the parameters are. We haven't really seen. There's not much guidance. So I think they're just hoping for chaos. and maybe someone will pop their shirt off. Maybe I'll just send you the link. You can jump in, pop the top off real quick, then jump out.
I wouldn't be opposed to
How
that.
do you like that? We just take it over, sabotage that NWO Wolfpack. Just take it over.
I wouldn't hate that at all. I
don't know. Yeah,
outstanding idea.
Would be we'd have to add a new moniker. It would be the original bad boys of the Dorkshire Gooniverse.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. All right. Well, if you send me the link, make sure you text me because I'm definitely
They definitely won't find out because, as we found out from Mac and Goo, no one listens to our episodes anyway.
Well, Billy D does, and he's in the chat right now, so he may have heard everything. But he'll be in on the joke. Don't worry. It's Rossi who we want to pull the prank on, anyways.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, because Rossi's also the one that doesn't know how to do drafts, so I'm very concerned about how this is going to go for you guys. But is it? You don't know if it's a draft or it is a draft?
I think it's a draft.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for this episode.
I'm preparing as if it is a draft. So
smart man. Between you, Davey, Bill, I mean, like you guys just all very passionate about music, and it's a nice change of pace for what we have in the the DSG. I think we all bring something similar but different. Also, we argue a little bit more than everybody else. They bring music a little bit more, which I really like. Yeah, well, however you want to look at it. I don't really care to get an argument about that right now. But I also, and of course, TLDR is going to be broadcasting at 8 over on DocStream and on the hashtag DorkSharedGooniverse Facebook page. I think he's doing an indie book this week. I am not certain what I'm doing, but I'll tell you what, guys, when it comes to Dorktober, Doc is all in on talking horror books. He is very excited about that. I think I hear about it every day, which nothing wrong with that. He's excited. So am I. Also, just keep your peepers popped. If you already like the hashtag DorkSharedGooniverse Facebook page, you may want to do that at some point this week because there may be a little surprise in store for you guys, and there may be something else coming up next week too. We got a couple things.
I think we might lose our title of the prettiest podcast. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
That could possibly happen. And just for clarification, Wes, Billy D was listening, and the episode is a draft.
Good, I'll take notes. That's great.
Yes, there we go. So for next week, TBD.
No, we're doing The Devil All the Time, right?
I wanted to hold that off because they're talking about it this week and then wait just to surprise everybody. But yes, that's what we're going to do.
Oh, well, you got to put it in the chat. I followed the script.
You're right. You're right. No, that's my fault. That's on me. So
I dropped the ball. I should have read
The Devil All the Time next week. Until then, Wes?
Yeah, The Devil All the Time at the same bat time, same bat place. How do you like them apples?
End broadcast. Let's go. End broadcast.
Oh no, we're still going. This is